Hold up, hold up, hold up. It's that boy G Planz. Don't give a damn. He cooler than a fan. Walking real tall. Some say he's a man.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And you speaking about the camp. Let's talk about the camp right now.
Camp, that's my heart, man.
Let's speak about your heart, man. Who was all in the camp? How did it start? Right now, this is all for you right now.
Yeah.
I got 2 full batteries. I got like 5 cards.
Man, we gonna run it, bro.
Let's talk about it, man. How the camp came about, man. Who was all in the camp?
All right, the camp was, C Loc started a record label called C Loc Records. He did it wasn't an album, it was like a little single. Had like maybe 4 or 5 songs on it. I can't remember what year this was. This might have been like 93 or 94. Young Bleed was my partner. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta remember, at this time, I'm talking about I was like 11, 12 years old. You know what I'm saying? But Bleed went to school with some of my older cousins, and when I had lived in California for a couple of years, like I had moved to California because my pops, he had moved out there. Mm-hmm. So I stayed out there for like 3 years, and that's when I started, writing raps, you know what I'm saying? So when I came back, it's like I'm saying, like, you ain't think niggas in Baton Rouge rap or be on TV. So when my older cousins told me it was somebody they knew that rap, and he actually go to studios and record and shit, so they hooked me up with him. And that was Bleed, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Young Bleed. So I used to call Bleed every day. I get home from school, call this nigga every day. Man, check out this rap I wrote, you know what I'm saying? And him and Loc grew up together, you know what I'm saying? So when Loc started doing his thing with his label, he went and got Bleed. And I think at first Loc was Bleed DJ or something, like back in the day. Man, this shit go way, way back, you know what I'm saying? So I think Loc was Bleed DJ at first, but then Loc started rapping. Then when he started his label and shit, he was the nigga who, had the brains to do that shit, like, cause like I'm saying, bro, this before like Master P and, Cash Money and all that shit. Cash Money was doing their thing in New Orleans, but, it was like, Loc and Cash Money probably was the only niggas who was really, starting labels and putting records out, you know what I'm saying? So then Loc put an album out called Who's Gonna Ride. That was in 94.
94?
94, yeah. And he had, and that bitch was the hottest shit, when it came out, you know what I'm saying? And he had 3 records with Bleed on it. Never Say Die. That was like one of the biggest songs off that bitch. No Mercy. And he had another song called Wanna Be a G, but niggas call it bitch Huh What? Niggas call it Huh What, cause that's what, that's how the hook went. But so yeah, it was Loc, Bleed, and Lee Time. I can't forget about Lee Time. He was, making beats and shit and rapping with Loc too back then. So once that shit started happening, bro, Loc wanted to expand this shit. So Bleed told him about me and Vaughn, my partner J Vaughn, and my partner Happy, who was the producer. Cause while they was doing all that shit, we was doing our shit. We was in high school. Me and Vaughn was like a group in middle school. You know what I'm saying? Like, we used to write raps and shit in middle school, bro.
And what neighborhood y'all was in at the time?
We was living in Irvinville. It's like a country town across the river.
Oh.
So it's like 15 minutes from Baton Rouge, but it's on the west, like across the river going west.
Okay.
It's a little country town, straight country town. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's where we was at. Then once, we was in high school by the time all the shit with Loc started happening. We was in 9th grade. So that's how we all came together, bro, and started doing our shit. You know what I'm saying?
And then you say, when Boosie a part of the camp?
Boosie was a part of the camp, but not till later. Cause like in 95, Loc dropped another album called Whatever. That was the first thing that me and Vaughn was on. So like, if you look at the cover, Whatever, it say featuring, Master P, Silk, The Shocker, Young Bleed, and Laylo and Lee Time, I think. So that was the first record that we was on that actually came out. That's the first time people heard us. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Then the next year, he dropped the concentration camp compilation. So that was like the birth of the concentration camp. But the concentration camp was like Bleed. Like before we started fucking with Loc, Bleed, it was Bleed and me and Bond and Happy and Bleed brother and a couple other dudes that Bleed used to fuck with. That he had the idea to call a group the concentration camp. Which it was gonna be kind of like some Wu-Tang Clan type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like just a bunch of niggas who do their own shit, but you know you still still come together and do that shit. So once you know the whole shit with Loc popped off, we all just became the concentration camp. You know what I'm saying? And I feel fucked up about the concentration camp because you know that shit like offensive. You know what I'm saying? Like the Jewish people. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, it's like, but we wasn't even thinking about, you know.
Y'all got backlash from that at any time?
Man, well, I'm gonna tell you some crazy shit. So after the concentration camp compilation came out, that's what the original How You Do That there song was on. So that bitch blew up, like, you know what I'm saying? Then Master P came and wanted to do a remix for the Unbodied movie soundtrack. So when the Unbodied movie soundtrack came out, they did a remix to How You Do That there with P and Loc on it. And then that bitch blew up like in the, you know, on the big scale, you know what I'm saying? So then Loc and Bleed signed with Priority. Bleed signed up like as an artist. Yeah. And Loc got a label deal with Priority. So
and it's Priority like with Ice Cube and all them?
That's what NWA was on Priority, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, all them. So yeah. And they at that time with Pete, you know, that's what Pete had signed. And then so yeah, we signed with them with Priority. But the crazy shit is to get to what you was talking about the concentration camp. The one of the owners of Priority is Jewish. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of like want to push that shit to kind of get publicity. You know what I'm saying? So they had did like an article in LA Times about that shit and everything, like concentration camp and how it was offensive and all that. I can't really remember, like I was young at that time, but I know they wrote an article about the shit. But I know the one of the owners of Priority, he kind of wanted to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
You say publicity?
Yeah, he wanted to, you know, he wanted to get publicity, but it's a word fuck my mind, I can't think of the word right now, bro.
It's all good.
But yeah, he wanted to, you know,
pump
that shit up. Yeah, you know. And it was crazy because it's like, man, you Jewish, so you like the person who. That's like if some white people put an album called, you know, niggas or slave on us or some shit, and we like, man, we gonna, you know.
Yeah. But see, if he the owner, that mean, I can set my feelings aside to make my money.
Yeah, well, of course, so, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about the money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you know, so you know, it's all like at the end of the day, but I say, as me as a grown man looking back at that shit, it kind of. I feel kind of like, damn, you know, that shit was kind of fucked up for us too. But of course, we wasn't, you know, coming at it in no kind of offensive way. It was just like, that shit just sounded like a raw name, like on some military type shit, the concentration camp, you know what I'm saying? Sure. So yeah, bro. But then, once, you know, just like our rap groups, bro, everybody fell out and fell apart and all that shit. So then when all that shit happened, Bleed, you know, went on, did his own thing, Loc. So me and Loc, when we came back together, that's when Boosie came on, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, it's like two different versions of the camp, you know what I'm saying? But then we actually dropped the concentration and just called it the camp after that, you know what I'm saying?
And then first in the camp came, that's how they came about, the first in the, youngest in the camp.
So youngest of the camp, that's when that was Boosie's first album, yup. But we had dropped the Camp 3. See, the Camp 2 was called the Holocaust. That was the one that was on Priority that, you know, I was talking about. They did the article about the shit. Then the Camp 3, that's like the first version of the new camp. Yeah. So it was the Camp 3, the album was called Thug Brothers. So that was like the first one with Boosie got introduced to the world.
So you guys, the concentration camp, and then the Holocaust.
Right.
Yeah. At the time, of course, I ain't thinking about it, but yeah, that's.
But it's like, yeah, like, when it's like we the concentration camp, what we gonna call this bitch? The Holocaust. You know what I'm saying? And that's just ultimate fucked up, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, on some real shit, that's like fucked up G to, you know, exploit. That's the word I was looking for.
Oh.
Exploit that shit.
Yes,
you know what I'm
sure.
saying? So yeah, bro. You know, my apologies to anybody who felt offended about that, you know. It wasn't really my shot to call, but I was a part of it, so you know what I'm saying. So yeah, bro. The Holocaust, that's what we call it.
Man, that's crazy.